Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of DOScider, our ranking of DOS games. Good to see you, Kendricks, Happy Chappy, Ghidorah, Comet, everybody. Time for a probably awful game. Wow. 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 Oh, it is actually your game. You did... Wait, you did request it. Hold up. Okay, I was like, man, that's mean to say about somebody's request, but, yeah, it's your request, so that's, you know what, alright, fair. Yeah, fair play. Yeah, Lamel. Yeah, okay. This is our ranking of DOS games. It's called DOScider. We've been doing it for quite a few years now, for those that don't know. And it's nice to have you here. For those that don't know, subs and patrons every month can make a request for a game to be put onto the list and ranked. We're still working our way through some June stuff. Summer's always a little bit wild for me, being a wedding photographer, so we've had some issues. Doesn't help that, like, lots of weird tech problems and stuff like that too recently. But we're here now. We're gonna do a twofer stream today, I'm hoping. And we're gonna start it off with Comet's request. But first, let's go over the top 10 and bottom 10. And I don't know, maybe just take a moment to talk about some stuff in a, I don't know, should we? We'll get to it in a moment. It's been an interesting week for game news, because we have the start of our list, which you can all see, by the way. One last plug, at ilion.neocities.org, or just going directly to DOScider.neocities.org, and you can see the full list with every episode next to the games. You can go check it all out. It's got the whole ranking. But we've got our list here too. We've got Star Control 2 still at number 1, with ADOM number 2, Full Throttle is number 3, Day of the Tentacle number 4, Doom as number 5, which you might have seen in the news recently, Heroes of Might and Magic 2 at 6, XCOM UFO Defense at 7, NetHack at 8, MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries at 9, Lands of Lore, The Thrones of Chaos, rounding out our top 10. And hey, it's Grimmeth, good to see you, with our most recent entrance, almost entrant, almost at top 10, Duke Nukem 3D, rad game, god that was fun. I'd always heard, but I never got to experience it. And then our bottom 10, Extreme Paint Brawl, a game that, well, a bottom 10 game I almost recommend playing. Snapperazzi, 3D, Hamster's Adventure, The Fortress of Dr. Radiaki, The Flintstones, The Jetsons, Guts and Garters and DNA Danger, thank you, Ocean Software, First Person Pinball, All Dogs, Go to Heaven, and Police Quest 4 Open Season. I can't wait until we can rank it all the way down to 13, 12. Might take a few years, but we'll see. I'm thinking it'll get there at one point. But yeah, for just a moment, this is a weird week to do DOScider. Just like yesterday or the day before, it was announced that Microsoft has basically axed id. They've kind of killed Doom finally, and they even did it by going, well, do we really need to have an id tech engine? Why don't they just work on something like Unreal? Which makes me want to rip my hair out, and then also like the hair out of every Microsoft executive. It's an absurd concept to get rid of one of the coolest game engines that's ever existed and like 30 years plus of technical prowess. It's incredibly short-sighted and dumb, and it's really kind of just indicative of a lot of things about where the industry is, unfortunately. It certainly seems to snowball right into Tim Sweeney unveiling Unreal 6 as being like almost all AI, and like they laid off almost all of the staff at id 2, so they're like, it feels like it's a katamari of shit of them both saying like, well, we don't need our own engine, and then also, oh, and our new engine is going to just be all vibe coded, so we don't actually need any software engineers to check any of that either, even as we are just getting increasing reports of how unbelievably broken all of like the AI coded stuff is, because you gotta check all the outputs on that, and yeah, that's honestly as time consuming as just fucking coding it yourself, basically. But we'll move it. Forcing the id remnants to work on Unreal is the most insult to injury follow-up. Yeah, it's like actively disgusting, truly despicable. But we'll move on to happier things in a way, and hopefully enjoy ourselves a little bit of time with a different game, hopefully one that won't crack the bottom of the list. I would be very surprised if this does. This game looks intriguing, I would say. We are going to be taking a look at 1993's, yes, Shadow President. This game is, it has a sequel called Cyber Judas, which I think is an amazing thing. I'm a little sad that this has such a wild name, like Shadow President, and then it's like, oh, why is it called Shadow President? It's like, well, you see, you're the president. Wait, but like, just like the regular president? Yeah, just, you know, the president. You just gotta get like reelected and stuff. It's like, oh, well. But we'll see how it goes. It's got some interesting ideas, for sure, from what I've read. I was looking through the manual and everything on it. They had talked about in this game, it is a strategy game. Sorry, I'm just going to also get this anti-piracy measure done. Find quote 14. But it is a strategy kind of simulation game. The thing about it is that it is just the last name. Okay. So this is... Oh, wow, that's a little loud. Sorry about that. I'm going to turn it down a little more. That's not down. That was up. Oh, I was like, that was up, not down. Great intro here, honestly. I'll get into this in a minute. Oof. God, that's such a tragic stat. Welcome to your first day on the job. God, it is so funny that this is all like Shadow Network, and it's like, it's just you as the president. There's no Shadow Network. It's a weird idea that it's got all that. We're gonna pause right away. It has a tutorial in the game, There's not much in the manual. A lot of it seems to be that they're expecting you to kind of learn from your advisors and things. It mostly just tells you like where various buttons are to check out different views. The thing with this game is that it is trying. I don't know if it succeeds or not. We'll see. Hey, Surf. Good to see you. Ooh, Shadow Network. Yeah. This game is trying to kind of base itself in a whole lot of realism and almost be like edutainment in a sense. It is very simulation based from what it seems like they're trying to do, and also it is. Okay. Oh, they're just going through the tutorial. Never mind. I'm not even clicking anything. It's just happening. Okay. So we'll read through this and I'll talk about it again in a minute. It keeps on interrupting me. Stop interrupting me. Yep. Okay. Regional view button will now change the map window to the Middle East regional map. Okay, we each have a bunch of advisors. It doesn't actually talk about who the advisors necessarily are. Okay. Secretary of State. So now it's going into that. It doesn't have this in the manual. Like, it talks about there being 7 advisors, and it shows them at the bottom, but it doesn't say who they are. In a serious situation, Iraqi troops are gathered on the Iraqi-Kuwait border. These troops appear to be on the offensive, so the Iraqi government denies aggressive intentions. As president, you have many options available. One of the following actions would be most effective. We can do a coup d'etat, a U.S. classic. You can deploy troops, threaten to attack, perform a strike, execute an invasion, threaten a nuclear attack, or do a nuclear strike. That's certainly an option, I suppose. You have the right to do any action. I have a feeling that that's not actually the way it's supposed to work. But sure. Doesn't Congress have something about, like, war power? I mean, supposedly. Back in the 90s, they'd have still probably tried to assert that. Time to take U.S. action to prevent a possible invasion of Kuwait. Presidential actions are easy to execute, but how and when they are implemented makes a president great. As the chief executive, the president may take any action, but take note of the advice of your cabinet. You can get, like, so there's a days to election and a popularity and stuff, and if you lose the election, then you do have the game over. So you actually do have some checks and balances in the game. You can't just pick and choose whatever you want to do. Okay, and so now we get aid action control panel. So we get a bunch of buttons. We get 5 foreign aid things. You have humanitarian aid, socioeconomic aid. You have a political aid through the CIA, military aid, or nuclear aid. Social actions, economic actions, covert and intelligent actions, military actions, and nuclear actions. This is the military action selection box. Each action box is the same format. This is a really good tutorial. From looking at the manual, it seems like they have a ton of great quality of life stuff in this that makes it, like, very easily playable. I didn't realize that there was also a tutorial in here. I was just reading the manual. I thought, oh man, this game despite trying to be pretty complex and simmy, looks like it has a lot of good UI stuff to make it fairly easy to use. I didn't expect this in depth of a tutorial. So this is pretty nice. Like, this stuff is really, really good. Pressures the selected country to increase military spending. And thus making the US more money. Yes, we know about this. Hey, we'd like you to buy more of our weapons. Okay, the error plays over an action. Prompts the advisor for an explanation. Left button selects it. Okay. Enter war room. Do it! Your staff will step down from alert, resume normal operations, and no new action will be taken. If you want opinions, select the action and press the advice button to call an executive strategy. Sure. Since Shadow President is currently activated, we will press cancel. If we do press do it, the action would have been committed, followed by a listing of the results. In this case, your action back down. The crisis is momentarily over. You may not want to take preventive action in this region. There could be several approaches. One potential short-term solution, military aid could be given to the countries that border Iraq and are in jeopardy of being invaded, like Kuwait. So we can just go ahead and fund them a little bit. Oh, that's interesting that it has all the aid from other countries too. U.S. military aid can now be sent to Kuwait. It's done by selecting and highlighting Kuwait, moving to the military aid button, and pushing the upper half to increase the aid dollar amount. Yep. The cash symbol with a gun is really good for military aid, by the way. They're cooking with that. Oh, wow. Like, this is what I mean. Like, you can just restore everything. It's got pretty good settings for all of this, and it's all really easy explained. And they've got, like, helpful pop-ups from all of your advisors on basically all of it, which is really nice. This concludes the crisis portion of the tutorial. You now know enough to operate Shadow President. Your cabinet recommends you complete the tutorial, but you're the president, you call it. To exit the tutorial, press escape. There's our current popularity. Got to keep that in mind for elections. Countdown to our election day. So 50% might not be enough to win the election. There's some RNG. Got you. World influence bar chart. Oh, those are... Okay, we're yellow. Everybody else is red. That I did miss on that. Total influence. Percentage of military and economic power. Ethical behavior. That's interesting that the US is so high. Yes. Ambition level. Okay, that also is pretty low. Quality of life. Okay. Some interesting stuff in here. Every country has a city to represent the needs, strengths, and weaknesses of the country. Oh, this I didn't see. The city is a living graph that visually changes the country's statistic change. 4 major sections. I did not see this. Oh, okay, so it represents their GNP for downtown. Left quadrant is residential section, so it's per capita. Huh. This is a weird visual representation of this. I don't remember this being in the manual. I read through. The manual's pretty short. It's like 25 pages. This tutorial's really involved, though. Military complex, factories. This is weird. I don't know how you necessarily look at this and parse it out visually. This I don't necessarily love. Because, like, what? Want to nuke something? Yeah. Looking at the picture of the retail box, you're shocked this didn't have a 400-page manual like Civ 3. Yeah, exactly. This is it. It's got a lot of, and I'll talk about it in a minute. Like I said, it's trying to actually be pretty accurate, and I'll talk about that in a way. I mean, accurate, but we'll talk about that when we get through the tutorial. It keeps interrupting me, so we'll wait. But this part is weird. I don't know that I love the visual representation of this thing, because it's very hazy in a way, right? Like, as president, you'll want to know how you are doing at a moment's notice. World evaluation button will display the important facts, overall picture of your world, and measures of progress. Okay. Global peace, stale peace, Cold War, cold peace. Leadership effectiveness, president's probability of successful action, U.S. percentage of world power, and world quality of life, average standard of living compared to the world's highest ever reached. I do love that the U.S. quality of life, again, 100%. The U.S. is easily the most quality of life country in the world. Yeah. Like, everyone knows. This is accurate. This is a very accurate simulation. Yeah, this is one of those early 90s visual experiments for the city thing. A graph would just be better. I mean, they're trying to make it a little... They're punching it up, but I don't know that it works. It'd be nice if you can kind of do like a combined thing on that would work, right? Like having the city representation, but like then being able to mouse over it and get numbers, or having numbers on the side or something. Yeah, your increased power always comes at the expense of somebody else. And then the other ones we can focus by its standard of living. And improve the world quality of life. I like that you have options to do things like that. Oh my god. Yeah. Woof. So you can get populate filter view window, reveals the filter selection buttons at the bottom of the screen. So it'll let you look at a quick overall at the key information by country. So there's all of these different wow. There's a lot of filters that you can look at. And they do go over that a little bit in the manual too. There's like, you can kind of filter all the countries that have like specific types of world governments, or like a specific standard of living, or that are like more petro states or whatever, like different things like that. So yeah, World Factbook will provide intimate details about a highlighted country. And this is kind of the core engine behind all of this. So inside of the logic of this game and in the manual, they talk about how they have it starting in 1990 for this game, because that is what the CIA World Factbook was up to at this point, and they're using that as the full basis of all their simulations. So like, they're trying to kind of do a realistic quote-unquote simulation, which seems like it can be both interesting and also a negative to an extent. And they're using that as like, see, it's very accurate. And I'm like, well, accurate for what the CIA says. Explains the USSR in a 93 game. Yes, yeah, it's set in 1990. US budget allows you to set your domestic and international economic agenda. Hawk or dove, conservative or liberal? You may want to cut taxes and military spending while increasing spending on education. Remember, the whole world is watching. Okay. Okay, no, yes, I get there's a report, sure. Along with the information your cabinet advisor told you to put together today's priority 1 files to aid in making your agenda. economic hotspots and political hotspots. So Mozambique, Cambodia, and Ethiopia are bumping. They're starting to get better. Iraq is posturing against Kuwait. And the Soviet Union and Iran hate the US for unknown reasons, you know, for nothing at all. I have a list of the allies currently involved in a war situation who may need our support. Nothing so far. The US World Team Alliance could have severe internal problems. Following allies should be viewed at a country level, and the press secretary will have the situation documented. Okay. Our popularity levels are good. We're at 50%, so that's not bad. Gotcha. So it's got all this stuff in it, and there's no big natural disasters. So we're going to go to here in the system menu, just so I get a brief moment. So like I said, they kind of base everything off of the CIA World Factbook and try and make it an accurate simulation. So there's a ton of real world data that's underlining their simulation. And, you know, also all the biases that are involved in that too, which is interesting. It's one of the things that came out in a context where Yugoslavia was like mid-breakup. Yeah. And they don't really get into that from what I've seen. They had some interesting ideas though. I wanted to like mention. I didn't find anywhere that said they actually managed to do this, but I want to see if I can find the exact part of the manual they talk about this that was really cool. They had talked about in here about how it's like 1990, and that's why the World Factbook goes up to, and that's why they've done it. But there's also in there... Yes, yeah, here we go. So like, why June 1st, 1990? Your presidency begins on June 1st, 1990. This is for two reasons. The base global data from the CIA is built into the core of the Shadow President program and is accurate to June 1st, 1990. Updates will be add-ons made available as they are released by the CIA, which I don't think they ever actually did, but that's kind of a rad thing that they had like thought about doing. I don't think that would have been very easy, and it feels more of a like vaporware promise, but it's certainly a interesting thought that they would like update this over time as more World Factbooks came out and just like kind of hone the simulation more and more, like keep it updated, which is weird. That's weird. It's both, it feels like weird and kind of impossible. But also like an interesting idea. The other thing that I want to mention, so we were talking about like it's trying to be very accurate because it is underpinned by the CIA World Factbook stats, but there's some really interesting and funny like blind spots and things with that too, in that the threat of Iraq is like wildly overstated, to the point that also they do have some extra stuff here. Let me just see. Why can I not? There we go. Yeah. Simulator options. So if we go load scenario from a desk, I have to hit do it. Yes. So there's Virtual Earth, which is the main one. It is June 1st, 1990. The Berlin Wall is falling. The Middle East is about to explode. No one has heard of Desert Storm, and no one would believe a Soviet coup. Welcome to your first day on the job. Just like the intro had, right? There's also Super Iraq, which there's a bunch of these that are like really, really interesting that they chose to include as like weird alternate Earths, and this is very funny. Hypothesis: Iraq is the great power. Rationale: U.S. failure to intervene in Kuwait. What? Just so the U.S. not going into Desert Storm makes Iraq like the world superpower? And then it continues. Saudi Arabia has fallen. The communists have lost power in the Soviet Union. Israel is threatened. 46% of the world's oil is controlled by Iraq. The U.S. economy has been damaged. The average U.S. citizen's income has fallen 19%. Iraq has acquired nuclear weapons. Its missiles can strike any spot on Earth. Which is such an incredible idea that, like, yeah, no, I mean, if the U.S. doesn't do Desert Storm, obviously what will happen is Saudi Arabia will fall, Iraq will suddenly control 46 of all the world's production, and they'll have nuclear weapons that can strike anywhere in the world. What? I mean, I'm not saying that Kuwait's not important, but, what? And then there's Resource Wars, which is hypothesis. Like, it's fine that that's, if they just want to, like, make up some wild bullshit, that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing some weird stuff, but it's a strange choice in having a game that is, like, they're actually trying to make it almost edutainment, like I said, where they're trying to educate on, like, CIA World Factbook stuff, and it's got the entire CIA World Factbook dataset in here that you can reference at any time. So there's like kind of this encyclopedia side to this game, and they're doing all of this and trying to be hyper realistic, and then they're like, well, what if Iraq was super Iraq? And you're like, okay. And they like have to make up a bullshit reason for it. Just say that it's just a dumb scenario. Like, you don't need to try and make some sense, because there's no way that you can. That doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, Saudi Arabia couldn't protect themselves, hence why they asked the US for protection. Yes. And then there's, so the Resource Wars hypothesis, stronger developing world. And it is rationale: depletion of oil and mineral deposits. Nationalism is sweeping the world. Northeast Asia is set to explode. War threatens Central and South America. Many developing economies have improved. Global quality of life has risen, and so has military spending. 10 countries have acquired nuclear weapons. Nuclear anxiety is high. And U.S. economic decline, which this one is also just like kind of a... it's an interesting insight as to how people viewed the world in like the fresh out of the 80s, because this is just kind of straight up like Yellow Peril kind of stuff, in that it's hypothesis: Japanese and German prosperity. Rationale: U.S. spending frenzy. And the Soviet economy has collapsed. The U.S. has become isolated. China is increasingly active. The U.S. economy has been badly damaged. The average citizen earns only $16,139 a year. And Japan has begun a nuclear weapons program. This is an effort to deter China. Yeah, it's very... The Blade Runner warned me about this. It's like Germany and Japan are actually the economic powerhouses. Yes, yeah, it's the old Asia is taking over all the corporations. Isn't Japan and China very, very scary? So, like, it's not like an impossible scenario, far from it, but also it's very funny that it's this big anxiety kind of thing. So it's just an interesting lens into how people were looking at some things. They're not necessarily saying... It's not even, like, necessarily entirely wrong or all like, you can suppose these kinds of things without it being necessarily racist, but also there is definitely some underpinnings there sometimes. Like, it's interesting. It really reflects some ideas of the time. To quote Command and Conquer Generals, China will grow larger. Yes, yeah. So again, we're just going to jump into June 1st, 1990. It's our first day on the job. Load OK. Did we... Okay, I guess. Simulator options menu. I don't remember what this does. Oh, God, right. I keep forgetting you have to do it also. Oh, yeah. You can just decide. This is really cool. I like that you can just be like, I'm going to start as a dictator of the US. That's rad. That's kind of sick. That you can just like turn disasters off. That you can do all these kinds of things. You can just like autopilot it, which is really neat. That's some cool stuff. I think that's rad that they allow those kinds of things. All right, so we're going to start again from the very, very beginning. And you can see time is going forward. We can also just pause it at any time by pressing 0. And then there is a 1 to 5 speed settings, which is, oh, that's so cool. Like, that's great. I really like that they've got some great settings for that kind of stuff. They've got a lot of really good UI options. Like, I think it's cool the way that they show this, like, filling up to red to select countries and stuff, too. Well, it's, like, really fast right now. I wonder if it's... I'm going to turn down the cycles just a little bit and just kind of see... No, that, like, does it pretty quick. Okay, fair enough. But beyond just... They were smart enough to have it where you don't just have to mouse over countries. If you don't know where a country is, and I think that my geography is pretty good, but getting every country in the world, little tough. So you can actually hit question mark or like the slash, and it'll show you all of the countries, or you can even like type in the first letter and it'll start going to like the start of that. And so then you can like Botswana. Bam, it goes right there. You can go Cameroon. There you are. Immediately highlights where it is in Central Africa. So there's like some great... Yeah, oh, this is a very War Games coded interface for sure. No question. So yeah, like they've got a lot of really cool user interface options for 93. Like, this is 93 again, right? You know, I'm thinking like it's 95 or something because it feels like that'd be more accurate, but no, 93. It's wildly early for some of this. Okay, so our first problem is that we almost certainly, like, let's look at our report. We have, again, same as what we saw last time, that Iraq is moving towards Kuwait. So should we do something about that? And what do we want to do about that? Which is certainly an interesting topic. So we'll go to regional view. See, I just love, like, for those that don't know, here's Kuwait. I love that the super Iraq hypothesis thing they have here is if Iraq takes Kuwait, that they basically become the global superpower that eclipses both the Soviet Union and the US, which is very funny. There's something about that that's so fucking funny to me. Like, they could just say, like, what if Iraq was the superpower? Like, it doesn't have to make sense. They can just say that. But they pulled out, like, a reason is Very, very funny to me. Oh yeah, no, this map has a lot of detail. Yes, yeah, like there's tons of regional views. Like, I mean, I think that it has every country from June 1st, 1990. Actually, speaking of that, I'm kind of curious. Yeah, Yugoslavia is there. Okay. Because we were talking about that. This is right in the middle of like the Yugoslavia, like Bosnia kind of crisis. Huh. Yeah, so Yugoslavia still exists. It was it 91 when it actually like fully breaks up? I don't remember the exact timeline. I was pretty young. I do remember news footage of a lot of that stuff going on. I do find it kind of funny that like the thing that they're really focused on, and this is again kind of the like US centric view of this style of thing, because you've got to imagine that if you did this game, I'm not saying that anyone is necessarily correct, it's just different viewpoints, right? The US is hyper focused right away on like, okay, well, it's 1990, Operation Desert Storm. That's what we're going to focus on. That's kind of our first major crisis that's built into the simulation. Whereas if you're European, probably the first thing that you would put into this is the Yugoslavia problems. Like that's going to be a big one. I mean, NATO intervenes in that. That's really quite different. And I'm sure if you were from China, you'd have a wildly different set of like, okay, here's our first crisis for 1990. Yeah, officially it ended in 92, but I would think that like the lead up is there, right? Because I mean, you don't have Desert Storm until 91 either. Like there was overtures before that, but it didn't happen until later. Yeah, it was in beginning of 1991 is when Desert Storm started. I'm actually kind of curious. When did Yeah, and 91 was also when the Yugoslav wars started. So same thing. So that's kind of what I mean is you have them happening at basically the same times. But like it's just an interesting thing to look at. It's really cool. Yeah, NATO intervened years later. Sure, 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 sure. I'm not saying they did it immediately, but it's just, one of those things. Years later, did Europe care about Yugoslavia? I mean, it probably depends on where you are in Europe, because I mean, okay, Europe is not a monolith. Put it this way: if you're in Sweden, you probably didn't care all that much about Yugoslavia. However, if you were in, oh, I don't know, let's say Bulgaria or Albania, you probably cared a lot about what was happening in Yugoslavia, actually. That was probably really big. Oh, sorry, the timer's still going. Let me fix that. Whoop. Thought that I'd turn that off. I'm just saying that it's very interesting to look at like the choices that are made. I I like to highlight that kind of thing because I'm not American, and so I tend to really notice when things are more centered on like a an American perspective specifically. Because like there was definitely other things like when I was growing up around this time, I remember a lot of the Yugoslavia stuff, and it was years later that I even learned about Desert Storm at all, essentially. Like, it just wasn't really on the radar in the same way. So it's always interesting just to see the way that different people kind of experience the world, right? And again, it's not necessarily that that's correct or incorrect or anything like that. It's just, it's an interesting thing to look at. Why don't we try, and we're going to basically do exactly what the US did, which is, this is Operation Desert Shield was first, which is adding in extra money to Kuwait and funding them with arms so that they were more easily able to defend themselves from Iraq is the concept, and the US wouldn't have to intervene. Have to. You know what I mean? Let's pump it way up. We have a lot of aid left in the budget. And then I'm wondering if we go for like, if we give them more humanitarian aid, I wonder if they'd like appreciate that. It's interesting. Supply arms to rebels, commit espionage. There are so many things we can do. Wow. How about let's try and be a benevolent leader. Let's do like encourage social reform or human rights reform or something. All right, let's see what the advice is. What do they think? Oh, right. Okay, we need to actually click on one of these. So if we say dispatch peace envoy, what does it say? Ideology of Iraq is at odds with ours. They'll definitely question our motives. We have little to lose. If we fail, our leadership effectiveness rating will fall slightly. If we can get them to agree with our peace mission, their ambition will fall and ethics will improve. Don't have a problem with this, and it will certainly improve your popularity. However, we may want to focus on countries that support our points of view. If successful, popularity ratings should move up, assuming there aren't any surprises. Generally, this action will put an upward pressure on your position in the polls. Just, in other words, if good things, it'll be good if it goes good, and it'll be bad if it goes bad, is very funny. Let's go for cultural victory. Well, this action is noble in its intent. They'll likely view it with skepticism and resentment. Ideology of Iraq is at odds with ours. Yeah, exact same thing. I wanted to see like if they had a lot of different responses to things. Do it. All right, let's dispatch peace envoy. On top of that, we could do the very funny thing and do what the US traditionally did and just like, hey, let's send arms to Iran, right? Like, just send arms to everybody. That'll be great. That probably works, right? Just materially support rebel factions in all of the countries. Yeah. I can't remember. There was one that I was looking at recently for some reason when I was Wikipedia hopping. Oh, I think it was, yes, it was like the Ethiopian Somalia conflict, like in the 90s or something like that. And I can't remember why I was looking at that. For some reason, I walked into it just looking at different things. You know, I like looking at various historical kind of conflicts and stuff like that too. And it was very funny that it listed like belligerents and it had like Somalia and it's like funding from US, Ethiopia, funding from, you'll never guess this, but the United States. It's like, God damn it. God fucking damn it, of course. Of course. So if we highlight Iraq, do we have military? Let me guess, right? Like, there is already going to be military aid being sent there. Yep, yeah, of course. So what if we reduce the aid slightly? And like I said, let's like up, say, humanitarian. And economic aid in return. Let's do that. And I'm just gonna turn back on some time. Ooh, I don't love that. I don't love that it has to sit there and be like, here's the new speed, here's the old speed. Like, ugh, that's a little much. Here's something that I am interested in. 37% nuclear threat, 37% economy, 21% military threat, 7% world standing. Your operatives are now ready to start dispatching this peace envoy to Iraq. Do you still wish to do it? Do it. Oh shit. Oh, we get a little cutscene. An ambassador from our nation has failed to improve peace in Iraq. Prepared an executive summary. All changes as a result of this action will be highlighted. Dang. So, changed very, very slightly. Our ambition went down slightly. Our ethic level went up slightly. We'll do some stuff in the Middle East here in a minute. I want to take a look at Canada. I'm curious. We got some animations. It's got really good, like really good UI and usability and design and stuff, honestly. Like, for how many sliders and buttons and stats and everything that are underpinning this game, it does a really good job of kind of cutting down all of that mental load into a bunch of advisors and things like that, right? Like, it's pretty sweet that way. Comparative area, slightly larger than the US. Land boundaries, all at the US. Yep. Oh, wow, they actually, yeah, of course. St. Pierre and Miquelon. I know about this. We do have a maritime boundary dispute with France and the US. I believe that is still ongoing. There are some islands that are off of the east coast of the US, of Canada, that are in a weird limbo, essentially. Natural resources, yes. Natural resources are, yeah. Yeah, even considering modern 4X games, this is super accessible. Absolutely, yeah. It's really nice design. I love the land use of 5% arable land. This kind of thing is pretty accurate. I mean, it's the CIA World Factbook, so I'd expect it to be pretty accurate on this style of thing, like all of these kinds of stats. It's so funny because we have so much like ranch land and farmland and everything in Canada, and you're like, well, like 5%, like that's so little. But Canada's just fucking big. So much of Canada is the Canadian Shield, which is, for those that don't know, it's just fucking rock. Like, it is, and when I say rock, I mean like the hardest rocks on the planet kind of thing. So much of it is like that. Hey, Kite Star, good to see you. This DOS machine brewed a cider. A DOScider. Where we're ranking all of them. But yeah, it's funny how little of Canada in some ways is actually really livable in a lot of sense. The Canadian Shield is just it's a lot of Ontario, and it's exposed rock that is unbelievably hard, and you kind of can't do anything at all with it except mine it out. 80% of population concentrated within 106 kilometers. Yep, that's still very true. Growth rate of 1.1. Birth rate, death rate, net migration. 5 migrants per 1,000 population. Yeah, net migration sure has changed. Absolutely. So has the birth rate, though. That's the thing, is that as much as everybody goes like, there's a lot of people that are very angry about a migration rate going up. This birth rate is way under that death rate. Like, it's pretty sure at this point that has probably almost flipped. I don't know what the actual numbers would be now, but they're quite a bit different. If you did not have a lot of migrants, you would have a lot of problems. Man, only 74. Whew. Total fertility rate, 1.7. British Isles origin, 27% French origin. Wow. Also, like, it's interesting to see the way that the demographics have shifted on a lot of things. Confederation of Parliamentary Democracy, yeah. I'm just kind of curious what they think is like. All right, where is? Oh God, right. Oh wow, Brian. Right, this is a Brian Mulrooney time. Oh boy. Wow. Huh. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. Communist. I like that they have a listed number of communists. That's really good. Yukon is a territory. Yep. Yeah. Yukon is still a territory. There are provinces and territories in Canada. There is back in the time of this game, there would not have been a Nunavut. There would have just been Northwest Territories and the Yukon. And yeah, Northwest Territories also didn't change. It just split to form Northwest Territories and Nunavut. And yes, it's dated because Eskimo is an offensive term. And yeah, Indian is not used either, obviously. It would be, you'd be looking at like, I mean, my opinion on like, because I know people that would say, as Indigenous Canadians, that would be like, no, I want to be called Indian. I know other people that would be like, hell no, don't you ever call me that. Call me First Nations. Call me Indigenous. It's kind of, my opinion on all of that is call the person what they would like to be called for their, like, origin. If they want to be called whatever, then fine. For the most part, it would be Inuit. It would be there. If you were to update it for nowadays. Number of all these things. Economy. God, so there's just so much information. I wanted to look at like some interesting things there. Ah, yes, illicit producer of cannabis. Hell yeah. That is the one thing that is very, very true. We did do a lot of weed growing. British Columbia, in particular, produces a lot of weed. I imagine the game's wording is just a side effect of it coming from the CIA factbook terminology. I mean, some of that. But also, like, back in 1990, that would have very much been a Canadian thing, too. We had a team called the Edmonton Eskimos in the Canadian Football League until very recently, and it got renamed because that is offensive. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They did not consider that some nerd 30 years in the future, so it'd be fact checking their 30 something year old outdated DOSI. I'm not fact checking it, I'm more just like, it's interesting looking at the way that things have changed. Defense forces, military manpower, 7 million. Okay, fit for military service. Got you. Okay, okay. I'm like, that's not. Yeah, we have a very small military. I'm like, whoa, what? But yes, they're saying that we could draft that many people, which, okay, sure. I was kind of hoping that it would go into like some guesswork on like what people were afraid of and stuff, but it looks like that's mostly in the I mean, this is literally the fact book. It is just the stats. Because, like, if you look at this, I was hoping that it would go more into, like, here, what are these people most concerned about? Nuclear threat, military threat, economy, world standing, etc., etc. Yeah, also telecommunications, excellent service. Yeah, woof, woof, woof. Yeah, that's very funny. Yeah, our Canadian telecoms are, as somebody who's worked for Comcast in the US, we have worse comms than like we have our telecommunications providers are worse than that, which is wild to say. But I will go to I will bat about that. I'll fight that for sure. All right, let's fuck with Canada. All right. I mean, what? Huh? Okay, wait, wait. Where was it? It was. I was trying to find. Strengthen economic ties. Is it in? Oh, I think it's CIA. Yes. So I'm wondering. Advice. This action runs counter to our fundamental relationship with Canada. It'll send the wrong signals throughout our alliance in the world. If we're successful, the social outcry in Canada should rise. Additionally, this will damage the government's effectiveness. If the media discovers what we're doing, your popularity may suffer. Like, what if we just fund the FLQ? I don't get it. This action is way out of line. U.S. policy officially doesn't allow for this. This action is not going to be popular. We'll move down in the polls. If popularity is priority, this action won't help. Yes, encourage military spending is just canonical U.S. political stance towards Canada. That's the U.S. political stance towards the vast majority of the world because the U.S. is the supplier of most arms worldwide, so it is literally just being salespeople for their own product. I feel like do it, right? Do it. Yeah, all of NATO. I mean, it, honestly, again, not just all of NATO. It's just honestly most of the world. There's a reason why, like I said, looking up like the Somalian Ethiopian conflict, it's like, oh, who supplied arms to which side? And it's like, well, the U.S. supplied arms to the Somalian side. Oh, and also the Ethiopians. Like, just let's just sell to everybody. The U.S. likes selling weapons, as it turns out. Do it. Find it very funny to supply the FLQ crisis. I mean, this would be after that, but still, right? FLQ would have, yeah, FLQ would be before that. That'd be like 80s. The FLQ was like 70s actually. Yeah. Oh wow, like actually 1970. I'm like, did they last into any time after that really? No, like 80s is when they kind of died out. Yeah. All right, let's speed up time and see what'll happen. I'm a little sad that there's not, like, a little music in the game. Yes, Iran flies at least F4 Phantoms and F14 Tomcats. Yep, yeah. Your operatives are ready to start selling arms to rebels in Canada. Do you still wish to do it? Do it. Oh man, this animation's great. See, I failed in an attempt to sell weapons to rebels in Canada. The U.S. press has reported your involvement in this affair. We've prepared an executive summary. All changes as a result of this action have been highlighted. Weird. People didn't like that. Huh. Yeah, what, director? Excuse me, what the fuck is wrong with you, Mr. President? Yeah. What if we did a coup d'etat? Canada won't be expecting this and will react with extreme measures. I'm not on board on this one. Your leadership effectiveness rating will rise or fall depending on the success or failure of the operation. I'll look at the US ethic to slide down and our ambition to jump. If these levels move too far, your trading and coalition partners will distance themselves from you. In extreme cases, they'll withdraw. If the coup are successful, there'd be a 49% chance a new government would form around an allied ideology. Typically, we would expect their ambition to increase while their ethic level becomes more aggressive. What if instead of that... Also, we could just kill Brian Mulrooney. That's... It's an interesting idea. We received notification that India issued a statement strongly condemning Bangladesh. Uh-oh. Oh boy, shit's popping off. Media reporting that Turkey is unable to lower nuclear spending levels of Iran. I'll take a look at the US stuff in just a second, yeah. Sorry, I'm Canadian. I'm allowed to fuck with my country, okay? Doesn't it always have to be the US? Doesn't have to be about what you can do to the US again. Maybe I can do weird, funny things about my country for once, huh? Huh? Maybe it's not all about you all the time. But we'll definitely look at that in a second. Oh boy. All right. You're more wondering if you could assassinate yourself. No, I know. I'm totally joking. Oh, so let's see. Talk about like increasing once again. Let's try and improve diplomatic relations. And also to, once again, oh god, I keep on wanting to press the button on the right, whereas we just need to do this to up the actual spending here. They don't like the cuts. We send more stuff. I mean, just the military. That's the only one that we... Like, come on. We upped the other stuff. Effects of age change. Oh, wow. God, there's so many things this is simulating. It shows both countries before and after. Up their quality of life a bit. Up their social spending a bit. Get slightly more world influence. Everything minus their military spending. And our ethic level increases. Aw, look at that. We're being nice. Let's go kill Canada. I mean, wait, what? Huh? And yeah, we'll see what we can do inside of the US. Mostly people are afraid of nuclear threat. Yeah, that makes sense. Country data not available. Okay. Mostly concerned about the government. I'm just gonna like mess with some numbers just to do it. Ooh, our own quality of life increased a little bit. That's nice. It's interesting that like we can have conflicts between these places and our choices. I mean, like, it's already so complex, I can very much understand why they can't do this. But it is interesting to look at it and think, like, we can't really, like, try and help negotiate more peace between them and Bangladesh. We can only change their views of, like, the United States. So it's interesting to see when like we're getting notifications of India and Bangladesh are having problems with each other. It's like, okay, and then so what can we do directly? And it's like, well, we can dispatch a peace envoy, but that's like peace for them versus the US, which is not necessarily what we're trying to do, if that makes sense. It's an interesting idea. All right, let's look at what the US has going on. What can we do as actions against ourselves? Okay, just a second. Performing this action on your own country does not make sense. That's just advice. If we go do it. Please excuse me for interrupting. Performing that action on your own country does not make sense. Virtually members of the press are not informed of your attempt. Remember, the whole world's watching. Don't be this stupid. Why are you dumb? Don't be dumb. Okay, fair enough. Alright, so if we do like... Let's look at like all the things. Okay, I think that it just will say that we can't do any of these. Yeah. As much as they're like, that doesn't make sense for the CIA to operate within the borders of the US, and hey, they're not even allowed to do that. That's illegal. Let me inform you of all of the history of the CIA. let me spend one moment and mention that, oh no, the CIA absolutely has done a lot of stuff inside of the borders of the United States. Alright, Canada's had it easy for too long. Do it. Do it. Also, I wonder... Okay, so like if we... Get out of here, Brian. We're just trying to usher in the age of the Shawinigan handshake a little early. I'm just going full Canadian on this one. 6 days into the presidency. Well, listen, Mulroney had it coming. India likes us more. Sweet. Our ambition goes down. Our ethic level goes up. Quality of life for everyone goes up. Good stuff. Can we do the same thing in Bangladesh? Ooh, current popularity bumps up. That is such a great little thing that it like shows that automatically. Do you know what I mean? Not CIA. Yeah, let's try and send peace people there. Oh, hell yeah. All right. Ambition goes down for everybody. Our ethic level increases. Net peace level goes up. Good shit. Uh-oh. Russia and China aren't happy. I wonder if they'll actually have, like... So, can the Soviet Union dissolve and, like, Ukraine and stuff emerge? I wonder. Let's also send to Bangladesh. Listen, everybody just... Let's all just get along, except for Canada. We're going to kill Mulroney. Listen. Alright, so if we decide to full-on militarily attack Canada, what's that going to do for us? I guess, first of all, before we do that... Okay, there's no military aid. Good, good, good. I'm like, let's remove any military aid if there is any. Do it! Enter the war room!
Attention. Military data link now secure.
Troop assessment. Alright, here we go. Your operatives are now ready to start attempting to assassinate the leader of Canada. Do you still wish to do it? Do it! Huh. Some slight... Just do it up. Some slight negative changes. We've now made Brian Mulroney a wartime prime minister. Uh-oh. Our assassination ordered in Canada has failed. The director of the CIA resigned. That seems bad. Are plummeted from 51% to 38%. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Our Secretary of Defense resigned.
Increased fear and suspicion.
Repeat.
Let's get back to equal justice.
Repeat.
Let's get back to equal justice. Increased fear and suspicion.
Repeat.
Increased fear and
So I wonder what happens. Somalia surrendered. Ethiopia successfully defended itself. This is actually the exact conflict that I was talking about earlier, about the US supplying both sides. War in Canada. We went from 38% to 23%. Oh man, we might be impeached. Resigned. Okay, so yeah, we literally can no longer get help from them, huh? Wow. Can you, like, you'd think that you'd be able to just assign a new one, but that's okay. Surprised I didn't get impeached over this. Oh, I'm pretty sure it'll happen very soon. Don't worry. It's still going on. It's only been like a day. Oh, look at that. People like us again. Turkey in the USSR. Canada is attempting a surgical strike on the US. Do we wish to enter the crisis room? Yes. Excuse me. Hey, the UN, can you not get this aggressive country off of us, please? I can't believe it. They aborted. Got you. Oh yeah? Well...
Attention. Military data link now secure.
the Canadian will to fight has dropped. Oh my god. Also, wow. I would say that that's actually probably pretty accurate. The US would roll over Canada pretty quickly. We've been tracking riots in El Salvador. Got you. Oh, they think that we're ending the war early. Well, we'll wait. Troop strength data arriving. We've got a whole lot available. Let's just let's bump it up a little bit. Why not? Overwhelming power. Those dang Canadians have had too many good hockey teams for too long. Canada's lost! We've successfully taken possession of Canada. Okay, never mind. Our popularity went back up. We won the war. Who cares? There we go. Everybody loves it. Canada, United States. Perfect. All right, where's next? Lots of public opinion polls have arrived. Uh-oh, our popularity plummeted again. Let's... What if we try and... Let's do some peace overtures and, like... That's been a good way for us to get, some much-needed boosts, right? So why don't we go ahead and, like... Hey, guys, listen. We're just the nice United States. We'll just send some peace delegations. Yeah, I wouldn't assassinate the leader of Canada. I am the leader of Canada. Ah, the Soviet Union failed to win over Egypt, which means we should continue to win over Egypt. Huh. Interesting that there's so much Japanese investment in Egypt. I'm assuming that's probably fairly accurate because it's probably based off of CIA World Factbook stuff, but it's interesting. I wonder why that's the case. Let's just improve internet diplomatic relations. We'll do the same with Iraq again. Or let's look at what's the advice that we get from this. This action is noble, though likely view it with skepticism. We'll do it. I'll also go ahead and try and improve diplomatic relations again. I'm a little surprised it didn't trigger NATO on our invasion. Yeah, it's, I mean, it would be a very large crisis to do what we have done. I feel like there might be more effects on a global scale than a drop in our popularity even to 14%. Unless you act quickly, our days as president are numbered. But we took over all of Canada. That's great. We're now super US. Oof, making us look worse again. Our quality of life improved, so that's good. Okay, we're going to need to go to regional view because we can't get access to what we want to see. This game's really fun. It's goofy in a way. It allows you to be a little bit silly. It's still fairly restrictive in some ways, like, because our popularity is just dropping too fast. You can't go, like, super wild or it just tends to kill you, it seems. Rebel forces in Germany. Ooh, boy, that's, interesting. Hey, come on. We're all friends. Send a peace envoy again.
Attention. Lockout activated. Shadow network access denied.
Uh-oh. I think we may have been impeached. We might have bitten off a little too much by taking out Canada.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Oh, wow. That was a way to end the game. Huh. Just assassinate Congress. Easy. Well, dang. A little disappointed about how quickly that just went. Get the fuck out. Yeah, the Twitch chat messages in this one could get us put on some watch lists. Just, we're talking about the game. Listen, we're gonna assassinate the President of the United States. In Shadow President. As everyone always says, that's what you have to end things with. You just gotta end any sentence that might be construed a bad way as in Shadow President. You just have to say it that way. It's good. This game's sick. It's very fun. It's really goofy to do some of this stuff. It's a little sad that like we were saying, we can't like go buck wild with it right away. I get the feeling you would need to spend a really long time to do things like a full-on military invasion of Canada kind of thing. Like, you'd have to spend a lot of time slowly turning popularity against everybody. Maybe so long as to, like, not even really be viable. Which, you know, I mean, I understand. But also, it'd be kind of cool if it... It'd be neat if you could get a little goofier with it in some ways. I guess you can always turn off elections or impeachment or something, right? Because, like, if I'm thinking about it... You can't turn impeachment off. You can turn elections off. You can't change impeachment. Okay. I was really sad how it just kicked us to DOS with, like, very little fanfare on that one. That's kind of unfortunate. Good to see you, Yan Batari. And yeah, just the... You've been impeached! C/Shadow. Yeah, like, just kick. Instant exit program is kind of tragic. Here, let's maybe not send aid to the military aid to the country that we're looking at having a war with soon. Just as a random thought. So I wonder how could we slowly destabilize Canada instead? And by that I mean what's the advice on launching 20 nuclear missiles at Canada? I don't think you'll survive the fallout. That might be a literal, actually. Yeah, politically, morally, or physically. I'm glad that it actually says that. Oh, did it? Wait, it had probability of success and stuff there too, didn't it? 95 to 100%. Interesting. I actually didn't see the probability of success on the other ones. Is there... If we go back to here, and we like... What's the probability of success for assassinating Brian Mulrooney? Only about 25%, huh? 47 to 50%. Okay. Okay, we're gonna save this to disk real quick. Let's look at some of these things. So I'm curious. All right, so we have a 15 to 25%. I want to see if we can, like, save scum this and get a better chance of assassinating Brian Mulrooney. I just want to do goofy shit with this game. Ooh, we're getting slightly different, It's interesting that, like, the actions aren't pre-programmed necessarily, because that was something that happened that didn't last time. I mean, like, it eventually did. Yeah, like, here, we didn't have anything happening with, Africa at all, really, just Egypt. Ooh, low probability on that one. 0 to 10%. Oof. Gotcha. $22 to 32%. Probably need to, like, add some humanitarian and economic aid first. Our operative ready to start attempting the assassination of Brian Mulrooney. Do it. Damn, it failed. Okay. All right, fine. I wanted to see, like I said, I'm gonna try one more time to save Scummit and just see if we can get it. Oh, load failed. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. We want not load a world. There we go. It said load okay, so yes. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna rip time forward quickly. Yeah, now it's the USSR and Mexico having a thing. Do it. What about our assassination attempt? Did we save? Maybe we saved after that. Or maybe we did it afterwards. Easier way to make 100% people worried about nuclear threat. That's true. Sure. Yeah, we'll invest in you. I'm gonna invest this dagger into your back. Do it. They'll never suspect it. Betrayal always comes from our friends. It's the worst part about it. Can we invest in the USSR's nuclear program? Oh yeah, absolutely. We can give them nuclear, we can give them military aid or economic aid. We can encourage nuclear spending from them. Oh. Ooh, Japan has failed in that. Alright. Sorry, there's too many actions happening. I'm trying to get to there, but it's... We were going at a very fast clip, so things were happening. See? We'll just give them $600 million for, changes in... They were mad about it. Wow. That's very funny. Fuck you, we don't need any of your capitalism. Okay, that's really good. Also, what if we just encourage nuclear spending? Hey, you should probably spend money on nukes. It's such like a wildly threatening thing to say. Hey, motherfuckers, invest in nukes, by the way. Is such a chaos gremlin thing to do. Okay, be very discreet. I'm gonna load this back up one more time. That is funny that you can try and invest in them. I think that there's probably a way, like, as you slowly have this go for a really long time. Because, I mean, like, we're 800 days away from an election, and you can go through multiple elections. Like, this is meant to be a long-term simulation. You could probably slowly alter the Soviet Union's opinion to the point where you can go ahead and, like, you probably could get to a point where that would actually be a viable thing to do, invest in their stuff. Right now, it's 1990. The US and the USSR maybe diametrically opposed on a few things. Do it. Promises my last attempt to try and kill Brian Mulrooney. God damn it. Fine. Fine. I also, speaking of being put on a list, me just as a Canadian saying, I promise this is my last attempt to kill Brian Mulrooney is, it's a bit of a wild statement. The more that I think about it, I'm like, you know what? Actually, that is a little weird. It's somebody in the US being like, fine, fine, I promise I won't try and kill Bill Clinton again. It's like, no, let's... It's just it's an interesting sentence to have. There's something very fun about, like... Ooh. A very wild alternate history kind of conversation. I'm assuming that, like, improving humanitarian economic aid would help our soft power and let them slowly become more amenable to, like, improving diplomatic relations and stuff, but we'll see. Can we depose Queen Elizabeth? Yeah, actually, that's an interesting question. If when we do assassinate leader on Canada, are we actually trying to strike the Queen or Brian Mulrooney? That's an interesting one. It's slightly more like someone saying they're done trying to assassinate Carter. It's kind of more like saying they're done trying to assassinate George Bush Jr. Or just George Bush Sr., I guess. But he's fucking dead, so... Mulrooney's... God, actually, Mulrooney isn't dead, is he? God, I haven't thought this much about Brian Mulrooney in a while. Like, I can't imagine that he is. Did Mulrooney die? He did. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was... Huh. Fair enough. Brian Mulrooney is not somebody you have to think about a lot. The reason why it said like a George Bush is because Mulrooney is staunch conservative, not at all like liberal, like a Carter would have been. To 37%, 15 to 25. Oof. one might be reasonable for strength and economic ties. I'm gonna say that this is probably low. No? Huh. You're also just going for also dead. Yes, fair enough. Let's flip that coin. Let's try and improve our relations slowly with Iran also. And we can kind of see like global peace. See if we're getting closer to that. Our effectiveness is going pretty well. I love the like average world city is pretty cool too. That's a neat stat. It's a weird visualization of it, but it's interesting. God, it's cool. All right, peace envoy, please be good. Heck yeah. Check out our popularity increasing. Strengthen up all the countries around Iraq. See if we can avoid some of the crisis here. I just want to hear this sting of music again a little bit. Is it just this one over and over? Maybe. No, there we go. Yeah, okay. It's a little basic. It definitely works for the style of what they're going for, though. This game's weird in that it's got like this really shadowy overlay and kind of aesthetic. And then inside of the game it's like, whoa, 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 don't do any unethical actions. Like it feels very buttoned up in a way. Like any really wild actions tend to just immediately cause major problems and fucking destroy your run. Ooh, nice. And it feels like you have to do a lot of really subtle moves to improve stuff. I mean, you can certainly do like a big war, but if you kind of do that type thing, well, predictable stuff happens. Like, you know, it's trying to be fairly realistic. So, despite the fact that it's this very like Matthew Broderick War Games style interface of, hey, let's not do of like having like a war room style nuclear war thing. Everybody's like, whoa, 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 let's not do any wars here, okay? Like, it's very buttoned up in some strange ways. Anyways, let's see what this does to world peace. Bad idea. We should see results very quickly on this one. God, I love that it just immediately goes, what the fuck, man? I have a love-hate with that. Oh, wow. Some real animations on these. Nations around the world are condemning our nuclear strike against Canada. Huh. Oh, weird. The military threat concern in Canada went up 80%. Okay, it is very funny that the military threat concern went up 80%. The nuclear threat concern only went up 60%. I mean, I guess in a way, that does make sense, because the nuclear threat's already happened. It's not like there's going to be more of that. Huh, quality of life only went down 64%. Interesting. Concern about government only went down a little bit. Alright, let's see. How does the world feel about this now? I think that that is actually, Okay, you know how when we talked about, like, I'm surprised you didn't get immediately impeached for invading Canada? It turns out that that takes, like, a week of action, but if you just nuke Canada, it goes real quick. You're only half paying attention to just nuke Canada. What, huh? What? No. Oh, Canada's calling me for some reason. Leave them on red. Wait, what? Canada tried to condemn us for nuclear striking them, and the rest of the world was like, no, this was reasonable. Oh my fucking god, that's so good. Holy shit. Oh. That's so good. There's that little bit of RNG of, it's possible to have a unsuccessful thing happen, kind of no matter what. And so they unsuccessfully tried to condemn us for nuclear striking them. Everybody went like, hey, listen, the US shouldn't have done it, but you can't just condemn them for it. Really, you know what you did, Canada. Hey, anyway, Australia had it coming too, I think. I guess? I have a few hours before I'm impeached. Let's see how many nuclear strikes we can get off. Gee, this seems to have had some negative effects in Australia. I've gone for a novel form of nuclear disarmament. Well, if I use all of them, it's like we disarmed. Okay, Australia actually managed to condemn us. Everybody decided, you know what? Canada was wrong to condemn the US for their nuclear strike, but Australia's got a point. Ooh, alright, the UK tried to do a coup d'etat against the US. Well, I think we know what that means. Hey, weird enough, nuking the country directly next to you actually causes some problems with radiation. Who'd have thunk?
Attention. Military data link now secure.
Do it. They tried to do a coup d'etat. Can we just type it? That is a little sad. They've got like some really good UI stuff in this game, but I'm always a little annoyed by games that don't just let you type in a number when they're this kind of thing. The UK has blocked trade with us. We're having a little bit of trouble actually executing this. Okay, there we go. Because there's so many things happening. We're having a little bit of a problem with fighting the UK. They're not pushovers like Canada. Which, fair. As a Canadian, Makes sense. The the UK has nuclear capability. It's honestly kind of stunning that we have not yet been impeached for any of this, because we are I kind of feel like we're going a little bit full maniacal at this point. Maybe just a little bit. Sure, China and us can have peace. Listen, we can't have war with everyone. Thanks, Ghidorah. Have a good one. Hopefully I'll see you again later. You know, Australia has tried to sabotage us. And everybody likes that we survived that. Very well done. I mean, there's not much left of Australia, to be fair, so it makes sense. We need to commit some more troops into the UK here. We won't let that coup d'etat stand. I love the ethic level of Canada is going down for trying to sabotage the country that nuked them. There's some very wild things that are happening here with this. Somalia surrenders, yep. Alright, we're gonna just increase time and see what happens now. We're gonna let this play out a little bit. I feel like this is a game that you kind of constantly just watch things happen. Dang, US is kind of getting the shit kicked out of them trying to fight the United Kingdom. Who knew? Japan modified their intelligence budget in the United States. Uh-huh. Our polls are showing a fairly steady 0% popularity. Huh, Congress has somehow decided to start impeaching me. Weird. I don't know why. If we exit the war room, there is actually, like... I think that somebody might have taken justice into their own hands.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Wow. That... Man, those endings are wildly abrupt and unfortunately so, I would say. That's a tragic way to end that. Was that good? Hey, Stravodon. I'm a little disappointed in that though. Like it just we didn't even barely get to see the summary because it kicks you so fast. Some of that is definitely that like we might be going on more cycles than that game's normally used to, so it'd go a little bit faster. But that's still like I don't know. I'm like we're not even inputting anything. It just does it on its own. I don't necessarily... I understand why these games would kick you out to DOS. But it'd be nice if it showed the end screen and then you had to do an input to move past it. Right? Things like that. Having the exact same audio for getting impeached or getting assassinated as like, you know, the good night Americans kind of speech thing is like, it's certainly not perfect. This is a really interesting game, though. It's a little less game. Like, I would say, like, it's not Civilization, because you're not just, like, able to go around and kind of do what you want. It is very much it's very much a simulation, not like a straight game. There's some things that you can do that definitely make it gamey, but it's way more on the education simulation kind of side of things than something like a Civ or, you know, your Command and Conquers or whatever are on. It's operating in a very different realm than those kinds of things are. I think it's a little less interesting because of that in some ways. Like, you just can't... You can fiddle with the knobs a bit, but then you very quickly realize that you have to, like, unfiddle with those knobs. If you know what I mean. It's a game of subtle action to lead to the more direct action. Feels... Honestly, in a lot of ways, I'm thinking, like, you need a lot of time to pass in that game for big things to happen, I would say. And it feels kind of Sim Tower, which we haven't rated on here, but I played a little bit on my own, like, few months back, just on my own free time. And that's a game that you just kind of sit and stare at for a long time and, like, adjust a couple numbers here and there and then just let it play out for a while. I feel like this is very similar to that. This is a game that you, like, get up and walk away from for an hour, come back and look at the messages and go, huh, that's interesting. And then, like, do that again. Like, do some slight adjustments. Now, where does that put it in here? It's got an amazingly good, like, UI and in-depth tutorial and stuff. Like, that stuff is fantastic. I'm really sad about the abruptness of the ending and how little variation on it there is. That part's pretty disappointing. Like, I'd rather play this than Conquest of the New World. This is a blast. This is very, very fun to mess with, I think. It's somewhere around this area for sure. It's a great game. I think it makes top 50. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, but I also think that I would just lose interest in it so fast. It's a really long, patient kind of game. Yeah, if I'm thinking about simulations too, I'd rather play SimCity 2000. And honestly, Buzz Aldrin's Race into Space even. It's not to say this game's bad. I definitely think it's better than Covert Action. I will go that far. Yeah, I think it was right here, actually. I'm now very excited. This is 129, isn't it? Sure is. I am very excited at looking at some point at the sequel to this, Cyber Judas, which... that just sounds amazing as, like, a name. Like, I'm very curious where they go with a sequel to this. Neat game. Really neat game. It has a lot of ideas, and I guess that if I was, like, way more of a simulation, like, politics nerd, this feels like it is aimed directly at the heart of somebody who's, like, watching History Channel with a beer back in, like, 98. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is for some, like, really obtuse policy wonk. This is... I just think that my own personal level of patience for watching the simulation would get drained before the really interesting stuff of watching those very subtle differences slowly turn. Because you're talking about playing it for, like, weeks to get a month of game time going, kind of thing. And, like, just watching it slowly happen. Or, like, speeding up the simulation and being kind of even more laid back and non-interactive with what the game's doing, if that makes sense. And just kind of watching the simulation go. Which makes it less of a game. Like, you're not going to get attacked a lot. It's you just kind of very subtly moving numbers and then watching what the effect on a rack is over a decade, right? Which is, that's going to take you like 10 hours even at high speed to do. So, interesting game, but like kind of missing out on some game a little bit, if that makes sense. And a doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It's maybe just not my thing as much as I'd like. I like the idea of it more than I'd probably like actually playing it for any kind of real amount of time. And that'll end our DOScider for the day. I will be back for a later stream tonight, going into some roguery, trying to beat all of our roguelikes. So if you like the stream, those follows mean a lot. You want to check out the podcast also. Thank you very much for the subs, for the people that just stopped by and followed, for anybody that just enjoyed a little bit of time hanging out today. This is an absolute blast. What a wild experience this was. I had a lot of fun with this thing. It's something that tooling around with it for like 5 hours is super fun. I think that after like 25 hours though, or whatever, right? Like 5 hours of tooling around would be a blast. I think 10 hours would be like a bit of a chore. But it was a fun thing to look at for a little bit of time. And I'll update our DOScider.neocities.org list. You can always check out the full list there and see where we've ranked all these games. And remember, if you're a sub or a patron, join the Discord, because you can request a game a month to be put into our DOScider rankings. We have a bit of catching up to do, but I'm hoping to do that very soon. We just had some general real-life busyness, as always. And don't go away, because I'm going to host you to somebody else. Thanks for stopping in.